This week is going to be a little bit different, where I'm going to do a recommendation on an anime that you should watch, because I just went and saw Pluto on Netflix by Naoki Urasawa's manga, and it is amazing. It is incredible. There's no real better way to go on just to say that you should watch this right now. You need to go listen to what I say first, okay? And I'll keep this spoiler free, all right? Completely spoiler free, because I went into this blind. All I knew is that it was by Naoki Urasawa, who had done other series such as 20th Century Boys and Monster. And so I knew it was going to be great. I knew it was going to be fantastic. I knew the writing and the storytelling was going to be off the charts. And I knew in some way it was going to be tying into Astro Boy. But other than that, I went into this blind. And let me tell you, if you can go into this blind like I did, you are in for an absolute treat. So, after watching this video, liking this video, and subscribing to the channel, check out Pluto on Netflix. But for right now, I'm going to go and dive into this series a bit more. So Pluto is a very fascinating series because it dives into topics that are very current with artificial intelligence. I think it's very smart that they adapted this at this point in time in 2023, where AI is really cutting through. Naturally, with AI, it's very, very complex. The whole debates about, what are the positive impacts for society? What are the negative impacts? If artificial intelligence evolves into some sort of way, will they be like self-aware? Will they have their own emotions? What emotions an artificial intelligence feels will be real? These are really interesting, complex conversations, and this series, Pluto, really dives into that, which made it such an intriguing watch, because essentially the story of Pluto revolves around a number of different robots that are deemed the most advanced in the world, and one by one they are being killed off, and it's diving more into why these certain AIs being killed off, and just getting into each of these characters where the robots are so advanced that they have these emotions that, people can mistake them for being human. And the robots themselves kind of contemplating their place in the world, their place in society, and just the extent of which artificial intelligence can develop with emotions. And the big theme with this series is emotion. The really fierce emotions. So you have sorrow, despair, just, just crying tears is such a huge thing that us humans go through when we are depressed and sad and go through hardship. And, these robots, some of them are so advanced that they go through this themselves, and just to see them kind of come to grips with this sort of emotion is very, very fascinating to watch. But also the opposite end of the spectrum, where you have anger, hatred, these really intense emotions that, the way in which these emotions incur is to do with an imbalance of emotion, right? Robots and artificial intelligence are meant to be curated, to be controlled, leveled, and normally in a lot of media, robots are seen to be emotionless. So with these robots, some of which have these intense emotions of hatred, sorrow, it's so incredible. The depths of these characters, there's so many layers, and there's a lot of times where that's the conversation, to when, about these emotions, about these, battles with artificial intelligence fitting into a society. It's just, it's very difficult for me to dive into this without giving away any sort of spoilers, or even just trying to break this down in a really simple way, because it is very complex. But what I can say is it's fantastic. 8 episodes long. I absolutely love Naoki Urasawa's art. My favorite art styles in manga are like Berserk and Vagabond, these really detailed pieces of art. But there's just something about Naoki Urasawa's art style. It's so simplistic in the way he does it, but the characters, they're just such like caricatures. Like, there's such a specific style that he does with his characters that elicits such emotion. It's very hard for me to kind of pinpoint what it is, but I just love it. It's amazing. And the way in which they adapted this to an anime is incredible. Like, the style is just one to one perfect. And the animation is amazing. Awesome. I watched this in subbed, and the voice performances were amazing. The main character is a detective that's tracking down who the culprit is, taking down the most advanced robots in the world, what their motivations are, and it's just amazing. Like, his voice performance is amazing. There's particularly a lot of scenes that hit really hard, and the thing that I can praise the most about Urasawa's work in all of his series is that the small character moments, these little small stories that he builds with each of these characters, amazing. Like, the emotional payoff, the emotional conclusion of these little stories, the way that you feel as if you've seen like an entire show with all these characters, and you're seeing the conclusion. Like, but he does such a masterful job of building emotion, attachment to these characters that you just see on screen for like 15 minutes so amazingly. And it's a staple with all of his series, from 20th Century Boys to Monster, and it's to this series Pluto as well. So if you've never seen any of Urasawa's work, you're in for an absolute treat. And if you like this series, you are going to have an absolute treat with any of his other works, because it's just more of the same fantastic character writing. This is the kind of series where as soon as you've seen an episode, you want to jump back into the next one. And I felt the exact same way when I was reading through Monster and 20th Century Boys, where you just get so invested in this mystery, and the way in which he develops this mystery and the way it unfolds is so amazing. And just when you think you're getting an understanding of where things are going and who the culprit could be, there's just another spanner that's thrown in the works, and there's this, like, another character gets introduced that kind of flips it all on its head, and then, you know, it's just so beautifully done. It's so masterfully done, and that is across the board with all of his works, and Pluto was such a treat, because I knew it was going to be great, but just to sit there, be invested in these characters, have my emotions thrown around left and right in such a short period of time. I mean, each episode goes for an hour to like an hour and 10 minutes. Like, these are full movie length episodes, and that's so awesome. The fact that this whole series came out in one go, just a binge, is absolutely amazing. And I wish that was the case more often, because a lot of these series nowadays are just week on week. But to have a series of this high quality, adapted this well, just brought out on Netflix, like, here you go, just enjoy the whole thing in one sitting. I mean, it's gonna be a long 8-hour sitting, but just to go ahead and just take it out, you know, enjoy it all however way you want to, is awesome. Now, my hope is that because this was adapted so well, and I hope that it gets received so well on Netflix, and I don't honestly see why not, because it is just such a great series, that I can hope and pray that we have the same anime studio pick up 20th Century Boys. I know that 20th Century Boys has been adapted into a live-action movie trilogy, but look, like, such a great series. I can't wait to go and reread it again. I'm reading through Monster at the moment, and because after this, I needed more. So I'm reading through Monster. That's a series that I haven't actually completed yet. So I'm so excited to be able to finally go through that. After my excitement watching Pluto, I'm going to go and read through Monster, and you're most definitely going to go and see me do a video recommendation on Monster when I get there to see my full thoughts. But I hope and I pray that they get on board to do an adaptation of 20th Century Boys with this same studio. And I don't expect at all to go and put it on Netflix, considering. But also, they could do it like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, where they do multiple parts, like in 12-episode blocks. That could be great. Or even like 8-episode blocks. Do it like Pluto. Do 8-episode blocks for like 1 hour each. And get through the series, because that would be incredible. Netflix, if you're watching, do it. Please do it. I'd be so stoked. And I know a lot of people would, because 20th Century Boys, for a lot of people, is regarded as one of their favorite mangas. If I had the funds, it would be behind me right away in the full collection, because they've come out with a new collection of them, which I really have wanted to get. If I get through Monster, I'll probably go and start collecting that next. But yeah, I had such, in case you guys didn't know, I had such a good time with this series. And you definitely, please, watch this series. Watch Pluto. Definitely worth your time. And if you guys have seen Pluto, let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on this series. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. If you have any recommendations for other series you'd like me to go and watch or read, let me know as well. I hope you have an awesome day. Take care, and I'll see you all on the next one.